video, I want to address something that I often come across. And let me say that I want to address those in waiting. People maybe who have come to seek asylum to the United Kingdom, or people who have submitted their papers to the Home Office, but they're not yet working because nothing has come through yet. And the other people I want to address in this video as well are people who are also caring for those people in waiting. People who are helping them out, looking after them, giving them accommodation, food, and so on. So basically, I'm talking about living abroad, common experiences, things that I've come across. If you're in waiting and you don't have a job and someone is offered to help you with accommodation, with food, with all your needs for the moment while you wait for your things to be sorted out, if you're that person, then let me say this. Because the posts that I'm talking about or the discussions that I've come across on social media are discussions such as someone who posts saying things like, oh, I'm living with so and so and I've been living with them for 2 months, 3 months, or 6 months now. And at first things were okay. They offered to help me with food, accommodation, but now they're being nasty to me. I mean, something like that. So I've come across several discussions about things like that, where someone, the person who's posting, asking for advice, no longer feels comfortable where they live. They feel this hostility coming their way. They feel unhappy. Let me put it like that. So if you're that person, here's what I'll say. And I want us to take this in good faith. If you haven't got your papers yet and you're living with someone who's helping you out, my first advice is try and make yourself useful. Be proactive. Offer to help with household chores. Offer to help with tasks such as cooking, laundry, cleaning the house, taking the kids to school, collecting them from school, going to the grocery store, and so on. Just be proactive in that way. That way you reduce the burden on your host and it shows that you're contributing towards the household. You're contributing, because even though you're not contributing in terms of money, but it shows that you are contributing in some way, in other ways that are equally important. Because where I'm coming from with this is that sometimes what happens is, if you're staying with someone, especially if that person is an adult and you're supplying them with food, you've given them accommodation, and if that person wakes up, doesn't do anything, or maybe they don't bother to wake up when you're struggling with the kids, when you're trying to juggle things in the morning, that adult is sleeping, is in bed, doesn't bat an eyelid. If you were in that person's shoes, how would that make you feel? I mean, let's be honest for a second. How would that make you feel? Because here's what happens. This is human nature. At first, it may not bother you. I mean, I'm talking for myself. At first, if someone is staying with me and I'm helping them out, maybe at first it won't bother me that much that someone is watching me struggle in the mornings or whatever time, and they're not really like bothered that much, or they're not offering to say, oh, can I help you take the kids to school? Don't worry, I'll clean the house, or I'll do this, I'll help with that, even going to pick up the groceries. If it were me, I know that that would make me feel some type of way after a while, because even though you're not working yet, even though you're not helpful in terms of money, you are still helpful. You can still make yourself useful in some way. It doesn't mean that you've got nothing to offer. You have something to offer, and what you have to offer is yourself. That is what you have to offer. Because what happens as well is, if you don't step up, you start to become a burden, because that enthusiasm, those people who are helping you, that enthusiasm they had to begin with, is no longer there because of your behavior, because of your attitude, your lack of effort. So please put in the effort. So that's my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice is respect people's space and respect their routine, because we all have our routines. We all want space at some point. So if your host prefers to watch Netflix at a certain time, if your host prefers some peace and quiet when they come home from work, then give them that space. Yes, do your formalities. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Can I make you a cup of tea, and so on. And once that is out of the way, then take yourself to your room and start reading or something, because it is not fair for you to be encroaching on your host space. Because, I mean, let's call a thing a thing. Sometimes it can be a bit much because I have a routine. If I come home from work and it's been a long day, it's been busy, when I come home from work, I want to take time for silence. I want that time to just relax, to be silent and recharge, so to speak. And I also like to make myself a nice hot drink, sit down on the sofa, put my feet up, and watch my favorite movie. I also like to have a long hot bath. So if you've been staying with someone long enough, then at some point you come to know their routine. So once you know their routine, if you know that, okay, Betha likes to take a long bath and she normally gets home around 6:30, 7 p.m., then avoid getting into the bath or getting into the shower at that exact time. Because when you do that, you run the risk of annoying people. So yeah, unfortunately, these are the realities of life. People want their space, they need their space. Even yourself, when you start to work, when you get your own place, you will need your routine. You will need your space as well. So it is always wise to respect someone's space, someone's routine. It shows that you respect them as well. So this is my second piece of advice if you're someone in waiting. My third piece of advice, this one refers to someone, maybe you've come from Zimbabwe, maybe you've come from Kenya, Ghana, wherever you've relocated from, and you're now here, but you came with a bit of cash. Because I would like to believe that the majority of us will come with something, unless the situation is dire. Then you come with nothing. But the majority of us, when we come to the UK, we are prepared. I mean, in this day and age, I would like to believe, with all the videos that are out there, I would like to believe that we come somewhat prepared. I know visa applications are expensive, but I know when people come to the UK or when they go abroad, they come with a bit of money. So if you're that person who is come with a bit of cash, it doesn't hurt to offer some kind of financial assistance. Even though you're not working, you can offer. You can offer to buy bread. You can offer to buy milk, eggs. You can offer something. Sometimes you can do it as a courtesy, but I'm not saying that don't be genuine. Do it with your whole heart. If you're going to offer, make sure that you mean it. Because what you'll find is that when you offer or when you show that you're actually willing to help, when people see that, what they'll tell you is, you know what, it's okay, don't worry. You can pay me when you start working, if at all. Because I know people like that. A lot of people I know are like that. So offer to pay something, offer to buy something, even though you don't have a lot of money. It's okay to offer. You can offer. Another way you can relieve that financial burden on your host is by offering to fix things. If there's a broken tap, if there's something that is broken around the house that needs money to fix, if you've got those kind of skills, if your skills match what is broken in the home, if you're able to fix that sink, why don't you offer to fix it? That way, you're helping your host financially, but in a roundabout way. So that is an alternative to offering cash. And my next piece of advice is that suppose your visa has come through and now you've entered the process of looking for that job. Then what you want to do is stay proactive in your job search. Show that you are doing the best you can to find that job. Show that you're serious about getting that job, that you're serious about becoming self-sufficient. You must demonstrate that by being proactive in your job search. That way, your host doesn't feel taken advantage of. Because if someone is just there and you don't see them looking around, you don't see them updating their CV, you don't see anything, then you start to feel taken advantage of. So yeah, that is my fourth piece of advice. My last piece of advice is to do with communication. Be open, be honest, and show gratitude. Because honestly, even if you genuinely want to help someone without expecting anything at all in return, even if you're that person who is kind, who just wants to help without expecting that person to give you any money, but you just want to see them improve themselves, even if you're that person, after a while, if that person doesn't say thank you or express some form of gratitude, if they never say anything to you, then it's natural, it's human nature. After a while, you start to feel some type of way. You start to wonder, okay, So I've been doing all these things, and this person hasn't said a word, hasn't expressed some kind of gratitude. So this is where you really need to communicate. Express gratitude. Be honest about your vulnerabilities, because you're also vulnerable right now. Because not being self-sufficient, not being independent, not having a job, not having your own accommodation, relying on someone for your daily needs, for your every need, is a vulnerable position to be in. So if you're feeling that, if you feel bad inside, if you feel guilty, if you feel sad, then communicate. You communicate in a positive way, in a way that doesn't come across as if you're complaining. It's just about being open, honest, and transparent. And I'm sure people would understand when you express yourself like that. So really, it's about being genuine. It's about being authentic. Suppose something happens and you're not happy with it. It's always a good idea to talk about it. Don't bottle things up expecting people to know what you're thinking. People cannot read your mind. So it's always wise to communicate when things happen, because communicating helps prevent misunderstandings and to make sure that you're still on the same page. It's just a way of checking in with one another. So yeah, this is what I had for you in this video. As always, feel free to chip in the comment section.